All right, so welcome to the fifth video in the tutorial series. In this video, we will focus on creating the views and some of the routes so that we can display our application. If you didn't see the last video, we talked about services, which was probably the most important video in this tutorial series, as that is as it goes over the core focus of why we're creating this project. It's creating the Stripe services for your customers. It's also creating a seller via Express accounts, and it's also creating a transaction, which goes over the flow of sending funds to your sellers while also keeping or taking in a transaction fee while you're sending that transfer. So I'm a bit all over the place at trying to explain that, but that's kind of what we went over in that last video. I'm just kind of trying to highlight how important that last video was. So we're going to start creating the views so that we can demonstrate what the application should look like. So there's not going to be too many views. There's just going to be a few resources, few pages. We're going to have like the product page. We're going to be able to add a product, edit product, and then view a list of the products using an index, as well as we're going to have a Stripe form for saving customer cards. And that should be the core of the views. We're also going to have a few auto-generated views using the auth command. So if we do PHP artisan make auth, it scaffolded our authentication controllers and views for us. So we're actually going to delete the home controller, as we're not going to be using that. So if we let's actually go to login real quick, change this to root, as well as this as well. Okay. Anything else we need to add? Oh gosh, excuse me. Oh yeah, we're going to want to add a user type in the registration. So let's do that real quick. So under name, let's put type, and we'll say required. And then we'll do the same for the create function as well. All right, so that should be the stuff for the register controller. We've already edited login to use redirect to the route, I mean. All right, yeah, so that's everything with auth scaffold. Let's go to resources. Let's go to views, layouts. We already have the app layout. Let's create a blade component. This component will be the messages component to display our messages for us. Let's see. Let's copy that from over here. I'll have the Git repo, of course, be able to show all of this for you. I'm not really focused on the actual views. The front end isn't the focus. We just want to demonstrate how the Stripe Connect process works. So yeah, this messages just allows us to show errors or show success messages. And then we're also going to want to split the nav bar from the layout. So over here, we're going to take nav, cut that out, go to our ink folder, create a nav bar component, nav blade, paste that into here. And for the links, we're going to want to add so we're going to have two types of users, as I mentioned in previous videos. We're going to have a buyer and we're going to have a seller. So there's going to be different drop downs for those users. So I'm just going to copy some of my code from over here and paste that into this. So if else, copy this, paste this. So basically what's going on is if you're a seller, you can add product and you can view your balance. If you're a customer, you can just add your payment method, and then all of them will have a logout method, as well as displaying their name in the dropdown. So Yeah, I think we can start the server in a separate tab. So let's do PHP artisan serve. So that started up the server for us. Yeah, I think we're set right there. Let's see what the application looks like right now. What's the port on actually? So let's specify a different port since we already have the, or actually I'm going to turn off this port over here, turn this one on, and pull that up. All right, so since our server started, let's go over here. Let's click register. Oh, our navbar and is missing. Navbar component. We got to add that into our app layout. Let's do let's say include nav, include inc.nav, and then to show our messages, we'll say class container. And this is just showing our error or success messages, so we're going to include that. All right, so let's go back to our browser. All right, so we have our navbar now, and so when we want to register users, we have to specify. We're going to have to add in the user type as well. So we're going to go to our registration. Go to registration real quick. Register.blade. I'm just going to copy paste from my copy, place this under email. And so what this is doing is it's just selecting your user type. If you're a customer or if you're a seller, by default, you're going to be a customer. So if we go back to our browser, refresh the page, we can, email address. That should not say email address. That should say type. Yeah, so let's just change some of the HTML real quick. Call this type. Make this ID type. Put that in. Pull up our site. Refresh. All right, so we have the user type. Let's register our user. No, we don't want to register our user yet. Let's go back to our code. Sorry about this. This is a bit tedious. Like I said, the actual views aren't our focus. It's just allows us to demonstrate the Stripe application though, or the Stripe Express application. So we're going to create a directory. We're going to call it product. We're going to have an index page. So index.blade. And in that, we're going to copy this, paste this over here. This is all you can grab this from the Git repo, but basically what it's doing is it's looping through our products, and then it's displaying all of the products with their images, name, description, who it's sold by, and then the price as well. And then you can also click the there's a modal. When you click the buy button, it opens up a modal where you can confirm that you want to purchase that specific product. So yeah, you can copy that from the Git repo and just plop that into here. The next thing we want to also add is the product form page, which allows us to add our products. Copy this, paste that into here. Basically what that's doing is we have the product name, the product price, product description, and product image, and that's submitting to the save product route, which has yet to be created in our routes file. The next view and the last view that we want to create is our Stripe form for our customers. So let's go to Stripe, or let's create a directory called Stripe. Let's call this. Let's call this form. Ooh, whoops. Form.blade. Copy this from my other code. Plop this into here. Like I said, you can copy all of this from from the Git repo. But basically, what this is it allows us to add the name on the card, the actual card number itself, expiration stuff like expiration date, as well as the little security CVV, and then it allows us to submit to the save customer route, which also needs to be created. So yeah, that's all of our views. Let's go to our routes file. Let's go to web.php. We're going to copy in so over here, we're going to get rid of this over here. We won't need this. We can just comment that out. Comment this out as well, since we're not going to have a home route, but we're going to plop this into our route. Make this route our route. So basically the product, it would display the list of products when you reach this home URL. But we're going to want to add some middleware in a little bit to ensure that our users have the necessary information to purchase a product. Since we're not really focusing on Laravel functionality, we're just focused on trying to teach how to work with Express accounts. That's probably why I need to add in the middleware stuff. In a real application, you wouldn't add in middleware. You wouldn't add the middleware to view your products, of course. You can let guests view your products. But in this, the user will have to be logged in, and they will have to have a credit card. So, yeah. So I'm actually just going to copy all of the routes from this code and place that into here. And so as you can see, it does all the middleware stuff I was talking about. So the first layer of middleware is just making sure the user's logged in. And the second layer of middleware over here is ensuring that our user, if it's a customer, it ensures it has a Stripe customer ID. So essentially makes sure that you have your credit card saved. And if you're a seller, it makes sure that you have your Express account created. And so if you don't have it created, it redirects you to your route. It redirects you to the forms necessary to save that information. And so, yeah. The next thing we want to do is we will want to create some middleware. Say PHP artisan middleware. Oh, make middleware, not just middleware. What are we calling it? Check. We'll make it is seller method. Is seller middleware. We will also make PHP artisan make middleware. We'll also create has a Stripe account middleware. Has Stripe account. So that's what this middleware over here is for, the Stripe middleware. The next middleware is making sure it has a payment method. So if a seller is logged in and they want to purchase a product as well, just make sure ensures that they have a payment method as well. But usually you want to mix your seller and customer functionality in your applications. But in this demonstration, that's quite all right. And so that's why we're adding this middleware real quick. And if you don't know what middleware is just Laravel's kind of wall, payload wall, to ensure that a request has access to or has been granted access to that specific resource. So like I mentioned, so the first layer middleware just makes sure that your user is logged in. If you're not logged in, it just redirects you to your login page or registration page. That's just essentially what middleware is. It just ensures that you have authority to perform a specified action. So let's say it has payment method. So let's go to our middleware directory. Let's go to the is seller. And so in the is seller, we just want to ensure that the user is a seller. Otherwise, they don't have access to adding products. And so basically, it just checks your type. If you're not a seller, we're just going to redirect you to the products page, tell you that, hey, there's an error, you're not a seller. So that's all that does. Let's go to has Stripe account. This one's a bit more complex, but we're going to copy paste that as well. Import user, import auth. So basically what happens here is if you're a seller, it checks if you have a Stripe Connect ID. If you don't, it redirects you to Stripe Connect to create an Express account. If you're a customer and you don't have a payment method or card, it redirects you to the add a credit card form. And so, yeah, that's what the has Stripe account middleware is for. And then lastly, the has payment method. If a user wants to buy a product, if they're a seller, which, I mean, like I said, I mentioned earlier just a second ago, you don't want to mix your seller and customer functionality, but in this demonstration, we're doing that just because it's easier for our case. So basically, if a seller wants to buy a product, it just checks if they have a payment method as well. If they don't, it redirects them to the save credit card form. So yeah. So that's all of our middleware that we've created. Now we just have to add that in our kernel. So the first thing we want to add is we want to add customer middleware. So we say app HTTP middleware has payment method class. All right, so that's our first middleware. The next one is seller. Checks if you're a seller. So app HTTP middleware is seller class. And then lastly, we want to see if they have a Stripe account. If they're a customer, like I said, it checks if they have a card. If they're a seller, it checks if they have a Express account or Connect ID. So app HTTP middleware has Stripe account class. So that's all of our middleware for right now. All right, so all of our middleware is set up. All of our routes should be set up. And so now we should be able to demonstrate the application, I believe. Let's actually pull that up real quick. Pull up our browser. See if some of the functionality is there. Let's refresh our page. Let's create an account real quick. So jado123@mail.com. We want to be a customer first. So let's create a customer. Oh, that's annoying. I don't want that. I'm trying to make my password secret. It's the word secret, but we're getting an error. It's red saying we need a password, minimum password length. We'll just get rid of that real quick. Just call it secret. All right, so as you can see, that middleware is working. So we've created a customer account. That customer is the customer. So if we want to access the root URL to see the products page, it won't let us because we don't have a credit card saved. So, I mean, in a real application, like I said, this isn't how the actual functionality of your website should work. But in the case of this demonstration, we want to make sure that our users have a payment method so that we can demonstrate how the flow of funds works with Stripe Express. So let's create our credit card. And so Stripe has a default credit card number, 4242, and we'll do that 4 times. Just make sure it's any date in the future, and then the CV can be anything. No thanks. All right, so now we have access to the products page. As you can see, though, there's no products on the product page. So the next thing we want to do is we want to log out, and then we're going to create a seller account. We're going to add a product, log back in as a customer, and then purchase that product. So let's log out real quick. Let's register a new account. James Jones at james.com. Let's call ourselves a seller. Register our account. And so the first thing it should do is it should redirect us to the Stripe Connect form. So this is what the Stripe Connect form looks like. So if you're a seller and you want to sell products on our platform, it redirects you here. If you don't fill out this information, you won't be able to add products to the website, and you won't be able to do any other seller functionality until you complete this. So we're just gonna put in a whole bunch of test information. So let's say we'll call ourselves an individual. So let's put in 000 for the test mobile number, 000 000 0000 at.com. That's just a whole bunch of test data. All right, so our test code should be 00000. All right, and so let's call ourselves James Jones. Put in a birthday. Put in a random street address, or we'll just put in my company address. Oops, we don't want to have that though. Call ourselves James Jones again. Put in a fake social. All right, so we should be ready to add in our bank information. And we'll just use a test account provided by Stripe. And so what should happen is it should redirect us to this redirect URL right here. So as you can see, here's a redirect URI. It has our client ID, which Stripe uses to identify our application, and then has the state, which our application uses to identify the user or the seller registering for Stripe Express accounts. So we will use test account. It will redirect us to that URI. And so route product not defined. And so we're getting an error, which means somewhere. All right. Which means somewhere in our code, there's an issue. So, all right. So the issue was when we try to save that account information, it's supposed to be route products, not product. And so we can go back Oops. Let's see. Let's try to enter this. Let's see if it will work. All right, so we're getting an issue because the auth code has already been used, so it looks like we have to redo that form just because, I had the bug in the code, and so we'll actually try to go back to the home application. It will. Oh, wait, let's check our database real quick. It might have saved our information. I think the issue was it just didn't save the route. So yeah, actually, so if we look at our database, it might be a little bit hard to see, but it saved our Stripe Connect ID over here for James Jones. And so now he's able to add products. And so let's go over here. Might need to zoom in a little bit. I don't know. James Jones, add product. All right. Let's say Starry Night for $250. This is a test product. Add an image for that product. Let's go to our documents. Let's add Starry Night. And let's add that product. All right, so the product has been created. So let's go to the products page. And as you can see, here is our product. And so I'm going to log out and log back in as the customer. So let's say jado123@gmail.com. Log in. Oh, what the heck just happened? Secret. That should be my password. I don't know why that wouldn't work. Oh, my bad. It was supposed to be jado123@mail.com. Secret. My fault. All right, so we're logged in as a customer, and now we should be able to buy a product. So let's click this button. It should open a modal for us. So are you sure you want to purchase Starry Night from James Jones for $250? And so, yes, we want to confirm that. Let's actually look at the database real quick. Let's check our payments. As we can see, there's nothing in there. But when we click confirm, no such destination account. 1, 2. That's not good. I will just put in some filler stuff real quick. So it looks like there's an issue with, I think this issue stems from when we tried to save the account information. I didn't have the products route defined, so you might have to redo that process. You might have to in the date from the back end nullify that field, the Stripe Connect ID for the seller, and then just restart that process of trying to save an Express account, just because as you can see, it's caused some issues. So me personally though, I already have a test account I can use, so I'm just going to put that into our backend real quick. Let's go to the users. No such destination. All right. So let's try this again. All right, so you have bought the Starry Night, as it says. Let's go to our payments, check it out, and as we can see, here we are. And so, as you remember, the total price was $250. We paid out $225 to the seller, and we collected $25 in fees. And so if we pull up our Stripe dashboard as well, let's pull that over here. Oops. Let's go to connect. Go to authenticate ourselves real quick. Go to transfers.